Hello friends, I Himanshu Tripathi, Incubation Manager of High Tech Incubation Center at High Tech Institute of Engineering and Technology, Ghaziabad. Welcome you all in our two webinar series on Do Your Startup. This is our second session of this webinar series. This session is going to be based on team building and leadership. These are the most important startup skills required in today's time. And today's session is going to be presented by Dr. Monica Verma. He is Professor and Head MBA.
Thank you so much, Himanshu, for a very warm introduction. Truly humbled. And a very good afternoon to all ladies and gentlemen present in this startup series initiated by High Tech Institute of Engineering and Technology. So leadership, as I say, that it's not easy, though it looks very simple. Why it's not easy? Because if you are a leader of an organization, then there are many expectations. Expectations from the organization, expectations from the team members, expectations from the fellow colleagues. And as the expectations increase, the pressure on the leader increases. But again, a true leader is the one who is able to balance all these things. So we'll try to discuss all these things during this session, and I'll try to start or give some examples in between whereby we are able to correlate with what we are discussing. So are you all ready to go? Ready to start? If
Yes,
yes, right. I want how many participants are awake? So I want in the chat box with a whisk of a second. Yes, in the chat box. Are they all participants? Are you all there or sleeping? So let's start again. As I said that I want to have an interactive session whereby I'll be asking you questions in between. So I want at least some of the answers through the chat box. So again, if you're ready to start, then my next question is, according to you, who is a leader? What is your understanding of a leader? Just can you name some leaders? Himanshu, can you see the chat box?
Yeah, I'm seeing.
Any answers there?
No, not right now.
Okay. So are they all participants there or not?
Participants are there. One answer is Mr. Mukesh Ambani ji.
Okay, Mukesh Ambani. Yes, I want more participants to be interactive and to be quite awake in this session. Otherwise, the purpose of team building and leadership will fail.
The next one came Mr. Ratan Tata.
Okay, Ratan Tata, Mukesh Ambani, they are the leaders.
And none of the, next answer is Mr. Narendra Modi and
Okay,
Elon
very
Musk.
good. Yes, Elon Musk, that is Tesla. Okay, good. So now again, the next slide is, who is this person? Can you identify on the right side, extreme right? Who is this person? Can somebody answer this? Yes? Students who are there of your age only. And he is a well-known person nowadays. Okay, the second one, the middle one.
Steve Jobs.
Steve
The
Jobs,
fastest
very
answer
right.
came
Yeah. From Himanshu?
from Sanjay Agrawal.
From Sanjay Agrawal. Is he a faculty or a student?
Ma'am, that I can't
Okay.
know.
Okay, the extreme left. Can you identify this person?
Jeff Bezos from Amit.
Very good, Jeff Bezos. Okay, so I'll tell you this right side, he's Bhavish Agrawal, the Ola one, the co-founder of Ola Cabs. Okay, now do you consider all these as leaders? Yes, they all are leaders in their own sense, and they are the leaders in their own areas, in their own fields. And they are the entrepreneurs. They are the biggest, or you can say the most sought after entrepreneurs in today's date. Now, if we look at these three, there are many, but I have taken just these three examples because Ola Cabs, they have made a revolution in the travel industry. Steve Jobs, you know, he revolutionized the computing industry, the music industry, the animation industry, the video industry, and Jeff Bezos, again, the Amazon as of now is the #1 company in the world. So they were not the #1 from starting, but they started from zero. They started from scratch. Now, if you see that what is there common in all these three leaders which I'm talking about, or the entrepreneurs which I'm talking about, so that is vision. They had a vision. They had a risk-taking ability. They had people management and the courage to accept failure. Now, vision, if we talk about vision, what do you mean by vision? Vision is you foresee something, you have something in your mind, and you see that is a dream which you want to actualize. You want to fulfill that dream. So that becomes your vision. Jeff Bezos, what was his vision? His vision was that technology is an enabler which can bring about a revolution. And he uses technology for his e-commerce company. Then risk-taking ability. Nobody knew that even on a phone, you can listen to music. On a phone, you can do the work of a computer. Your phone can convert into a computer. But Steve Jobs did that. He had that risk-taking ability. People management, that how to bring the team together, how to have interpersonal skills and courage to accept failure. Bhavish Agrawal, he started with a company named Oracle, and he initially he thought that whether he was very apprehensive of his of startup, whether he will be able to succeed or not. But he had that courage to accept the failure. And if you see all the three, which the pictures which I've shown you, whether it was Jeff Bezos or it was a Steve Jobs or Bhavish Agrawal, or you take the examples of other entrepreneurs also. Let's say Ritesh Agrawal, or you say Deep Kalra, the Make My Trip founder. So they all had the courage to accept the failures, and they had the risk-taking ability. Now, if we go by the definition of a leader, or what is a leadership, we all know that it is an innate ability to motivate, influence, and lead people in an organization towards a common goal or purpose. So if you look carefully at this definition, then it talks about motivation, it talks about influencing, it talks about leading people. So motivating means you're motivating people. Influencing means you're influencing people. And again, you're leading people. So that means leadership is the quality which talks about people. If you have the ability to lead people, if you have the ability to motivate people, if you have the ability to influence people and take them all together to achieve a common purpose, that means you're a good leader. You are a leader, or you have the leadership skills within you. Now, if we talk about in just quickly that what are if we talk about the qualities of a leader, then integrity, ability to delegate, communicate, self-awareness. Why self-awareness? Because unless and until a leader doesn't know about himself, that what he wants, what is his vision, what is his dream, how can he communicate that dream? How can this communication process takes place? How can he communicate it to his people? How can he communicate it to his employees, or how he can communicate it to his team members? So self-awareness is again one of the qualities of a leader. Gratitude, the team which he will be building, or the team which is there with him, he needs to have gratitude towards them, or all the people. Initially, you have already learned yesterday or discussed yesterday that what is an entrepreneurial journey, or how can you start a startup, or how can you start your own enterprise. So there may be, you find people who are helping you initially during the initial phases when you do not have anything, or when you are not a popular person, or you're not a popular, your company is not on the growth stage. So you need to have gratitude for people. Then learning agility. Learning agility means you have the capacity to learn. The leaders have the capacity to learn. They say, no, the Jeff Bezos never says that now I am the number one company in the world, so there is no need for me to learn. Maybe in the later on in my this talk, I'll talk about that how his learning agility is there. Then influencing people, empathy and courage. So they all make up the qualities of a leader, and in other literatures, you will find other more qualities which a leader should have or the leaders have. Now, if we talk about, since we are talking about leadership for an enterprise or for a startup, so let's talk about the definition of an entrepreneur also. Someone who demonstrates initiative and creative thinking is able to organize social and economic mechanisms to turn resources and situations to practical account and accepts risk and failure. So that means if you look at this definition and if we look at the qualities of a leader or the definition of a leadership, you'll find certain similarities are there. They both accept risk, they both accept failures, they have the uh, courage to accept failures. They talk about social and economic mechanisms. They take initiatives. So that means they have got certain similarities between entrepreneur and leader. And if we talk about the characteristics of an entrepreneur, again, you will find there are many, but again, there is a similarity, there is an overlapping between a leader and an entrepreneur. And when I'm talking about an entrepreneur, I'm taking, that means any person who is going to uh, initiate his startup. So if we talk about entrepreneurial leadership characteristics, means the person who is an entrepreneur and has a leader, then what are his characteristics? And if I talk about these three people, I'll be keep on repeating these three people: Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, and Bhavish Agrawal, in order to make the things more clear. So these have a clear vision, a willingness to learn, excellent communication skills, an ability to delegate, positivity and motivation, and an ability to challenge the status quo. An ability to challenge the status quo. That means if you take the example of Bhavish Agrawal, everything was fine. There were cabs which were available, people were commuting in their own vehicles. Why did he feel that we need to have an aggregator of cabs? So that means he challenged the status quo. He said, no, okay, let me introduce Ola here. Let me make people aware that they need to buy their own vehicles. We have vehicles available which they can rent, and which is easy, convenient, more convenient. There is no hassle of maintenance or the servicing, and they can easily commute from one place to the other place. So that means he had that ability to challenge the status quo. So that means, again, what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to come to the point that our leaders, entrepreneurs need to have leadership characteristics. Or there may be people who have entrepreneurial skills and leadership skills, and since there is an overlapping between the two, they can be both. So, as I said, that leadership, first we need to study a little. I'll be talking a little about that what are the different styles of leadership and the approaches of leadership, and maybe from time to time I'll try to connect with Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos. Now, the first, there are many, if you go to the literature or the theories of leadership, there are many theories and styles of leadership, but I'll not be going on to those theories of leadership. But the most pragmatic one, the post pragmatic style of leadership, that is the situational leadership. And this was given by Paul Hersey in 1985. Now, situational leadership, as the name indicates, that the leader adapts the leadership approach or the leadership style according to the situation. Sometimes the situation may be that he has to do the work himself. So at that time, his leadership style will be different. At times, maybe there is the possibility that he has to deal with people who do not have the required skills. So at that time, the leadership approach will be different. I think all of you are aware about Sachin Bansal and Binny Bansal. I hope yes. Okay, they were the founders of Flipkart, and Flipkart is the, you can say, the our own indigenous e-commerce company, which is giving competition to Amazon of Jeff Bezos, which is an elephant in itself. So Sachin Bansal and Vinny Bansal, if you go to their history, how did they start? They started by selling books. And at that time, when they started orders for books, in the first year they started, they got only 100 orders. And those 100 orders, they used to go themselves to deliver the order. They used to go themselves to hand over the books to the customers who had ordered those books. So that means what I'm trying to say is that at different situations, leaders have to adapt, or they have to execute the different leadership approaches. So basically, situational leadership, it says that there are 4 ways in which a leader can exhibit his way of leadership skills. The first is, it talks about S1, S2, S3, and S4. S1 is telling. That means leaders tell their people exactly what to do and how to do it. That means they give very clear directions. They tell each and every nitty-gritties, what is there, how it has to be done, what has to be done, how much has to be done, how many times it has to be done. So that means they tell people, they give directions to people. That is one kind of a situational leadership. Second is selling leadership. Leaders still provide information and direction, but there is more communication with followers. That means the followers, the team members, or the employees, they understand, they have a certain level of skills, but still the leader tries to sell his message. He tries to sell that what is there, tries to communicate with the followers. The third one is participating. Participating is the leader tries to make relationships with the followers, and he says, okay, if you do this, okay, this is the work which has to be done, and let's try to find out that how it can be done in the best possible manner. And then he leaves it something, he leaves to the followers so that they can do it themselves. So that is participating. He's asking people for their suggestions, he's asking people for their opinions, their views, and maybe in the end he does it himself, or he does whatever he thinks best, but he asks his people to give suggestions, to give their views, to give their opinions. And the fourth one is delegating. That means he passes on the responsibility to the followers. He monitors their progresses but does not get involved in their decisions. He says, okay, good, you are doing a good job, let's do it. Do it. I'll keep on monitoring your progress, I'll keep on supervising, but do as you wish. So that means these are the 4 styles, or these are the 4 situational leadership, are the 4 situations in which the leader can exhibit different kind of leadership approaches. Now these leaderships can be possible, or the different situations which might happen, that depends upon the maturity of his followers, the maturity level of his staff, or the followers, or the team members. Now there again, these are of 4 types: M1, M2, M3, and M4. That is maturity level. The M1 maturity level is means the people here, they do not have the required knowledge, they do not have the required skills or confidence to work on their own. That means their maturity level is very low. Second category, that is M2. They are willing to work on a task, but here what happens, in the M1, they do not have the knowledge, they do not have the skills, they do not have the confidence, and maybe they do not have the willingness also to work. But at this level, the second level of maturity, they have the skills, they have the willingness, but they do not have the required skills. So that is the second maturity level. The third one is, they have the, maybe they have the skills, but not as it is required to do a particular task, and they are not confident of their abilities. So that is the third maturity level. And the fourth maturity level is when they are highly confident and they have all the required skills to complete a task. So these are the 4 maturity levels of the employees or the team members, and the S1, S2, S3, S4 are the 4 situations in which the leader has to work. Now, how this helps. If the low maturity level team members are there, then generally what will be the leadership approach? Of course, it will be telling the first one, Swaj. The, the leader will have to give proper directions to the people, to the followers. No, you have to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this in this particular manner. So this is telling or directing. If it is a medium maturity, limited skills, then selling or coaching will do. Selling is they have a certain maturity level, they have certain skills. Now he has to make the people aware of his idea, of his of the work which needs to be done. Similarly, a little higher on the maturity level, some skills also higher skills, but still the confidence is lacking. So participating. So by participating, by asking the people, okay, you tell me, what do you think about this particular task? Or what is your idea? What is your opinion? How we can do this particular thing? So he tries to build up the confidence of the people. He tries to motivate the people, and their way tries to gets his work done. And the fourth one, where the people are of very high maturity level, they have all the required skills, their confidence level is also very high. So the leader can just delegates the things to the people. Okay, you do it now. Now we don't. I don't need to interfere in between. So these are the different situational leadership types. Now, the leader can have different approaches. Now, in this leadership, as I said, it looks easy, but it is not that easy too. It is quite difficult when you actually practice, when you actually live it to it. So there can be different approaches to leadership as there are number of leaders. Bhavish Agrawal might be having a different kind of a leadership style. Jeff Bezos maybe have a different kind of a leadership style. Narendra Modi, as you said, one of the great leaders of our times, like of the present scenario, he might be having a different kind of a leadership approach, and his leadership approach might be varying according to these maturity level of people. When he might be talking in a public, Narendra Modi in a rally, let's say, where thousands of people are there, he might be talking in a different style. He might be talking different things. But when he might be taking a meeting of, let's say, the chief ministers of the states, his leadership style might be different. So that means there is no one set approach, or we cannot say that this is a right approach or this is a wrong approach. It has to be changed according to the situation, and leaders mold themselves or mold their approaches according to the different situations. So just we'll go through the different leadership approaches. What are the different leadership approaches? Uh, this is an example, since I'm not getting many answers in the chat box, so I'll just skipping through this, and maybe I'll talk with it a little later on. The different approaches, the visionary leader. Okay, visionary leader. Again, Himanshu, I want you to keep an eye on the chat box. Can you give
Sure,
me an
sure,
example?
sure.
Anybody of you, anyone from you, whom do you consider as a visionary leader? Visionary leader. A very quick answer. At least one answer I expect from so many participants, 40 participants. Nobody?
Steve
Whom?
Jobs from Amit.
Okay. Okay, Steve Jobs. Very nice. Very good, Amit. Steve Jobs, he is a visionary leader. But to make the things very simple, let's say, what do you think about Mahatma Gandhi? What picture he had? Mahatma Gandhi, we say he was a visionary leader. Or let's say Nelson Mandela, we say that he was a visionary leader. Mahatma Gandhi had a dream in his mind. He wanted to see independent India. And what he wanted to actualize that dream, he wanted to make the dream come true. And to make that dream come true, what did he say to the people? Just look at this underpinning message behind this visionary leader. Come with me. Come with me. He motivated the entire nation. He inspired people. You come with me and I will give independence to you. I'll give freedom to this nation. So that is a visionary leader where he inspires people. He knows he has in his mind the big picture, and but the people don't know anything about it. So he communicates his big picture, he communicates his vision to people, inspire them, and say come with me, and takes all the people along with him. Steve Jobs, as Amit said very rightly, Steve Jobs, not Amit Jobs. I've converted Amit to you, Amit Jobs. Maybe you are the next Steve Jobs in the making. So, Steve Jobs, as you all must be knowing, that he started in a garage. He started in a garage of his father, and but he had that big picture in him. He wanted. He never thought about the company or anything. He wanted. His entire focus was on products. That how can he make products which will revolutionize the industry? So he said, come with me, I'll take along with you. So what creates resonance? How do they connect? How these visionary leaders, they connect with people by moving them towards shared dreams. They share their dreams with the people, and they inspire people to come along with them. Okay. So the next is the coaching leader. Okay. Can you tell anybody from you who is a coaching leader? Coaching leader. Okay, can I give you a hint and then you tell me? Let's say sports. Many students, boys are there who might be very fond of playing cricket. Can you tell me any player from Indian cricket team who was a coach or who was a coaching leader? Nobody, Himanshu?
No, ma'am.
Okay, what do you say about MS Dhoni? Was he a coaching leader? Now, what is the underpinning message behind this
We have
coaching
got two
leader?
answers.
Okay.
Virat Kohli and Rahul Dravid.
Okay, Virat Kohli and Rahul Dravid. Virat Kohli, I won't. I have a differing opinion regarding Virat Kohli, but yes, I'll take Rahul Dravid. But better than Rahul Dravid, I think it's MS Dhoni. What was
Our
that?
third answer is MS Dhoni.
Yes,
Saurav Ganguly is the next one.
yes, Saurav Ganguly is there. So underpinning, what is the underpinning message behind this? The coaching leaders, try this, or I believe in you, I'm investing in you, and I expect your best efforts. They believe in their people. They say, okay, I'm behind you, you do, you have the capability, you have the potential, give your best efforts, and I'll be there behind you. So they coach people, they coach their followers, they try to bring the people to realize their full potential. They try to harness their abilities so that they can also come out, they can also give 100%. Now, what are if you look at the features here, they help people identify their unique strengths and weaknesses. As I said, they try to harness the potential of people so that people realize, or the followers realize, that what is their true potential, where the true potential lies, and how they can nurture it. They tolerate short-term failures, even if a follower fails. Did you ever see MS Dhoni losing his temper on a batsman if he was not able to hit a six? MS Dhoni was called he was known as the coolest captain ever. So that means they tolerate short-term failures. Did you ever see MS Dhoni losing his temper on a bowler when the bowler was not, or when a bowler delivered a very bad delivery? So that is, they tolerate short-term failures because they know that this person has the potential. And if I am able to coach that follower, coach that person, he will come out with flying colors. So how do they connect with people? By connecting what a person wants with the organization's goals. If the people are working in the organization, they also want growth with the growth of the organization. So this coaching leader, he understands He understands his people's needs. He understands that this person wants growth, and that growth has to be with the growth of the organization. That growth can be done only when the organization's goals can be achieved. Okay, so this is a coaching leader. Now the next one is affiliative leader. Affiliative leader, again, as the name indicates, affiliated, he talks about affiliation. He strives to keep people happy, to create harmony, and to build a strong ethos. Okay, and what is the underpinning message? People come first, or we are a family. And when people come first, or we are a family, again, I'll try to give an example. All of you must have heard about Michelle Obama. Yes, Michelle Obama. She was the first lady of the previous president of USA, Barack Obama. Okay. Now Michelle Obama, she is a leader in herself, and if you go through her biography, or if you read about her, you will find that she has more leadership capabilities as compared to Barack Obama, and she was of a type of an affiliative leader. In one of her books, that is Becoming Michelle Obama, she says that when Barack Obama won the presidential election, so there was a meeting called, or not a meeting, I'll call a rally. There was a rally of people, and it was in California, and there was a very low temperatures. It was freezing cold, and they were not able to go there. So she thought that let me skip this rally, let Barack Obama go there. But when she saw there were thousands of people coming together to listen to Barack Obama, but because they had voted him, she felt no, she had to go, because she said that now we are a family. And since we are a family, it's my responsibility to be there, even if it's freezing cold. So that is an affiliative leader. They talk about a family. They say that every person in an organization, or my followers, they are all family members, and we need to work together. Next is the democratic leader. Now the democratic leader is what do you think? The underpinning message is, what do you think? He doesn't say that, okay, do this or do that. He says, what do you think? What suggestions do you have about this? Or how can we move further? What better advice you can give, so that we can have a better project, or we can have better results? So that is, he participates. He asks people to participate in the decision making process. He gives values to the inputs of the other people, and get their commitment through participation. And what is the biggest thing through this, or what does he achieves? He is able to generate, or he is able to transform a feeling of belongingness among the people. And when there is a feeling of belongingness among the people, they are ready to walk with the leader. They are able to follow the leader. So that is a democratic leader. Next is the pace setting leader. The pace setting leader, come on, come fast, run with me, walk with me, come, do it fast. So what is that? Do as I do now. This is how do they connect with people? By meeting challenging and exciting goals. They say, okay, this is a goal, we need to achieve it. Come fast, I am also doing it, you also do with me. So that is a pace setting leader. He tries to keep a pace with the followers. He himself does that, and he at the same time he expects his followers to follow him at the same pace, at the same speed. So that is do as I do now. Next is the commanding leader. The commanding leader, all of you understand, like the commander of an army or the commander of an army chief. Do what I tell you. He not bothered about what other people want to say, or what opinions do they have. He says, do what I tell you. Whatever, whether it is right or wrong, you have to tell it. So that is a commanding leader. So now these leadership approaches which are there, the commanding leader, or the pace setting leader, or the visionary leader, democratic leader, these are the different approaches to leader. And these approaches to leader can be followed by one leader himself. Maybe at different situations, In some situations, he is a commanding leader. In some other situation, he is a democratic kind of a leader. In some other kind of a situation, he is an affiliative leader. So if again I take the example of Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos, it is said that they both are pace setting leaders as well as the commanding leaders. In some situations, they are pace setting, in some other situations, they are commanding leaders. So, all the leaders, they do not have one leadership approach or one leadership style. Their style or their approach changes according to the situation. And now a very interesting one or the leadership style or the leadership approach, which is very common nowadays, or we say this is a new form of a leadership approach, a transformational leader. A transformational leader is the one who is able to transform the entire thing. Generally, Mark Zuckerberg, all of you must be aware of about him, Mark Zuckerberg. Yes, Mark Zuckerberg. Yes, in the chat box, quickly. Who who is Mark Zuckerberg? I need one answer, at least one answer.
Facebook from
Yes,
Sanjay Agrawal.
very good. Facebook. Facebook. He is the founder of Facebook. And if you look at Facebook, what he has done, he has transformed the way we communicate with each other. He has transformed the way we are able to interact with each other. He has transformed the way we are able to contact with each other. Even your age old friends, 20 years back, 30 years back, 35 years back, you are able to find those friends in Facebook and you are able to keep in touch with them. So, what he has done, he has transformed the way people communicate, people interact, people make contacts, the networking, the way you network with people. He has revolutionized that industry. So, that is a transformational leadership. So again, Mark Zuckerberg, if you talk about Mark Zuckerberg, he's a transformational leader. In fact, if you talk about Steve Jobs or if you talk about Jeff Bezos, they are all transformational leaders. But along with transformational leaders, they also exhibit the different leadership approaches which are there. A transformational leader which leads to positive change in those who follow. They are energetic, enthusiastic, and passionate. And if you look at this, there's these three words, energy, enthusiastic, and passionate, you will find that these three things or these three qualities are there in all the entrepreneurs. If this is not there, they will not be the entrepreneurial leaders or they will not become the leaders. And then they involve their followers in making these changes. This is transformational leadership. Now, the next one, which is again a new form of a leadership which is taking place, that is ethical leadership. Ethical leadership. And what I'll quickly go through these circles: builds community, that means develops followers, builds community, develops followers, serves others, manifest honesty, that is the biggest thing, respect others, shows justice. So that is an ethical leadership is there. And if you, why ethical leaderships are considered to be the most sought after leaders nowadays, because you must have seen or you must have read in the newspapers about these scams, the financial scams which are taking place all over the world, not only in India but all over the world. These kinds of scams are taking place where the biggest of the big CEOs or the leaders are involved. So we have a need for ethical leaders. We need startups who are being started by ethical leaders. And if I to name you one, if you talk about Ratan Tata, he is an ethical leader, though he is a leader of a very old times, and he is still a leader. He is an ethical leader. He builds community. He serves others. During the COVID-19 or when the corona started and when the prime minister uh, asked for help, he was the first one from the corporate to donate 1500 crores to the PM CARES fund. So what is that? Serves others, manifests honesty, respects others, and the Tatas is the one company which is known by their ethical standards. They say that we are not going to compromise with our ethical standards. So that is ethical leadership. And this is again, as I said, that nowadays we require startups to run by people, to be started by people who are ethical leaders. So I'll not go through this. This is what these are the different entrepreneurial stages and the leadership styles. As you all know, or you must yesterday when Dr. Arora were talking about that enterprise, or when you start a startup, it goes through different phases. You start, that is an innovation phase, growth phase, affiliative, let's say uh, the maturity phase, or there is an adaptation phase. So through the different phases, not necessary that you require leaders or require entrepreneurs to exhibit the same leadership styles. This leadership style changes with the different stages of the enterprise, or the different stages of uh, uh, the startup. Initial phase, innovation and transition phase, you have a vision, you need to communicate that vision to the people, to the customers, so you require a different kind of a leadership. As the startup grows, you start building up your team, you start recruiting people, so you require a different kind of a leadership style. So it goes on changing with the with the different stages of the enterprise. So if the Himanshu, do I have the time, or Himanshu,
Ma'am,
can you hear me?
we have time. You can continue. There is no time limit.
Okay, okay, okay. So this is simply because I'm obsessed by Steve Jobs. I'm obsessed by Apple company. So I have taken certain leadership lessons by Steve Jobs, that these are the different things which he talked about. He said, focus. Focus. As a startup, when you're going to start something, you need to have a very clear focus. Very clear focus means, he said that there should not be any uh, distractions. If you have thought about something and you need to start that, prepare yourself, do all the homework properly, and then focus on that, how to start it. His main focus when he started with the company in 1976 from the garage of his father, he was very clear in his mind. He was very focused at what he wanted to do, what he wants to achieve. So that is focus. Simplify the things. To give a very simple example from the life of Steve Jobs, many of you must be aware about it, that later on he used to wear only black t-shirt and blue jeans. Do you know the reason why he did that? Because he said that if you have got n number of clothes in your wardrobe with different colors, you get confused. You unnecessarily waste your time in selecting what to wear and what not to wear. So I said, okay, I'm happy with black t-shirt and a blue jeans, though he had many number in his wardrobe, but only those two colors, black t-shirts and blue jeans. So he tried to simplify his life. He said, why to unnecessarily complicate my life when I have n number of other things to do? And the same thing is reflected in his philosophy for his company also. If you look at the Apple products, what he said when he always asked his team of engineers to design products, whether it was an iPod or a Mac or iPad or iPhones, he said, I want the designs to be simple. I want the designs to be simple in such a manner that it is easy for the users to use them. So he talked about simplifying the things. Then he said that if you are a leader or if you are starting your own venture, then take responsibility end to end. Take responsibility end to end means from the starting, don't leave things. Okay, you say, okay, I'm starting one thing and let the second thing somebody else will take care of. No, he said, no, there has to be an integrated approach. Integrated approach means uh, uh, he started with computers. Then he said, why can't we have he wanted to revolutionize actually the computing facilities. But slowly and gradually, he took up to phones, he took up to music, he took up to animations, he took up to videos and whatnot. He said, Inti, why to have somebody else take care of all these things? Why can't we take the responsibility end to end? So he talked about integrating the systems. He talked about integrating the things. And if you talk about the same, if I give the example of same thing from Flipkart, Sachin Bansal and Vinny Bansal, what they did, they started with e-commerce industry. They said, okay, we are going to sell things online, but when they how to deliver the products to the customers, and initially they took help of Indian Post Services, they took help of the private courier companies, but they were not satisfied with that and they were having problems, they were errors. So they started what? They started their own logistics company by the name of E-Cart, and the E-Cart was responsible for delivering the goods to your doors, to your doorsteps. So what is that? Taking responsibility end to end. Don't leave the things, don't leave loose ends for others to take up. Then he talked about when behind leapfrog. When behind leapfrog means when behind. Am I audible? Am I there?
Yes, 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 ma'am. Completely audible.
Okay. When
Audience,
behind
please respond.
I hope I'm not making the audience sleep.
No, no, no,
If
no.
at
We are
any
getting
point of
responses from the
if
audience.
if at any point of time you feel that it's getting very boring, please tell me. I'll have an activity with all of you. Okay, so leapfrog, I'm trying to relate it with what actually happened or what is there. A leapfrog is when, again, I'll take Steve Jobs when he made iMac. iMac was only for photos and videos. There was no music was not there with iMac. So he thought, and because of that, what was there? The music industry was already on the boom. So he thought that because of this, and iMac was, though it was creating a history, but he said that we will be left behind because that loose end which I have left will be taken over by somebody else. So what he said, he introduced iPod, and iPod again revolutionized the music industry. In fact, iPod uh, uh, just shut the doors of the other music industries, and that was a leapfrog which he made. Then push for perfection. He had that thing in him that he wanted perfection for everything. Then put products before profits. He never talked about profits. He never said that I want this much profits from Apple, or I want this cost, or this should be the cost of the products. In fact, if you know about him, Steve Jobs, he was kicked out of the Apple company because the Macintosh which he developed, this was very costly, and the company was at most at the point of bankruptcy. He was pushed out of that out of Apple. So he said, but in spite of that, he said that make your product in such a manner, or focus on product, simplify your product. Your product should be insanely competent enough to create a bang in the market. He never talked about profits. He said if you are focusing on your products, profits will follow. Nobody can stop profits from following if your products are good. Then don't be a slave to focus groups. This was his quality. Maybe all the leaders do not have this quality, but it was his quality that he was intuitively very correct. He said that we don't need to ask customers, like there is a story behind that when they used to develop products or design products, his team of engineers used to ask him, should we conduct a market research and try to find out the needs of the customers, or should we conduct a market survey in order to find out that what the people want or what the customers want? He said no, we don't want to ask the customers that what do they want, because they themselves do not know what they need. It's for us, it's for the leaders, it's for the entrepreneurs, it's for the people who are going to start their own ventures to know, to find out that what the customers want. And he quoted in one of the meetings Henry Ford. And I hope that all of you know who was an Henry Ford. He was again a leader in himself. He said that Henry Ford said that if I would have asked people, or if I would have asked customers what did they want, they would have said they wanted faster horses. Then it's not possible for Henry Ford to produce faster horses. So it's better that you find out the pulse, the need of the customers, and you create that demand. You design that product, manufacture that product, and create the demand among the customers for that product. And the startups, the people or the entrepreneurs who are new or who want to start up their ventures, they need to do that. Then bend reality. Now, what is bend reality? He generally, some people say that he was a very tough on his people. He was very, very tough, and the same goes with Jeff Bezos also. It is said that Jeff Bezos is also very tough on his people. Tough in the sense they keep on pushing their people, both Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos. They push their people to such an extent that the people sometimes bend. But they say there is a just quote that there is a quote by Steve Jobs where he said that my job is not to be easy on people. My job is to make them better. Now, he said that I'm tough on people because I want to make them better, and at the same time, when does that, there is a push for perfection. Now, what is that? Again, there is a story. There was when actually Steve Jobs was not technically he was not a very good engineer. His friend Steve Wozniak was a good engineer, and he was there with him through his entire life. So once what happened when Steve Jobs was pushed out of Apple, he was in Atari and they were designing a game by the name Breakout. The Wozniak said that that it will take months to develop that game. Steve Jobs said, "No, I want you to do it in 4 days." And Steve Wozniak was a good friend. As I said, he was there throughout the entire life of Steve Jobs. But Steve Jobs said, "No, I need to push people because I know they can do it. They have the potential." It's the thing is that they are not, they don't believe in their potential. So he had that, and because of that, some people even don't like him, and the same goes for Jeff Bezos also. Impute is another thing which talks about, generally, if you look at the packaging or the let's say the packaging of Apple products, it's a delight to people feel happy while opening the products of the Apple. So that is Impute, and this was given to Steve Jobs by his mentor. He said three things: focus, empathy, and Impute. Impute is that even packaging is important if you want to make your customers satisfied. And then Steve Jobs talks about humanities and sciences. And if you have talked about or you have heard about Steve Jobs, he always talked about connecting the dots. You knew and where they will take to you. There is a whole story again that calligraphy, he learned calligraphy, and because of that calligraphy, he introduced the different fonts there. Okay, so that was about Steve Jobs. I have got the whole story. Just a minute. I think there is. Um, are you? Is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes, yes, ma'am. It's visible.
I think I'm not able to move it further now. I'll, can I just stop share for a second and then do it again because.
Yeah, please, please, please.
Is it visible now?
Yes, it's visible.
So I have again leadership by Jeff Bezos also, but I'm skipping this because I think I've taken enough of time with that. So if all of you are ready and if you can do this, if you're not sleeping, this is just a leadership assessment. Do you want to do it? A very small, do you have your pen and paper ready with you? Yes or no? Himanshu, you can find out. If yes, we can do it. Otherwise, I can skip also this
I'm
thing.
getting yes. I'm getting yes continuously.
You're getting yes. Okay. So I'll take, it's for, is it readable? Can you all read it? Can you read it? Himanshu, can you read it?
Actually, on mobile, I don't think that it's perfectly readable, but on
Okay.
laptop, people can read it.
Okay. So let me skip it because I don't know how many of you are like attending it on the mobile phone. So you can mail it to participants, Himanshu, if they want it, and they can do it
Yes.
by themselves. This is just
Okay.
John C. Maxwell. He gives the leadership things, and this is a scale by then you can assess that how much a leader you are, whether you have the leadership
I think
qualities I have given. Hmm?
I think
Yes, Himanshu?
we can conduct this assessment if we are reading out one by one, and people
Okay.
will be scoring it.
Okay, okay. So all of you can do it on your paper. Just keep a pen and paper ready, and I'll read it out for you, and you can mark it accordingly. Okay. So first are the self-reflection questions. The first question is, do I have a game plan for personal growth? Yes or no? Just write down whether it's yes or no. Do I have a game plan for personal growth? Second one is, am I the leader of that plan? You just have to say yes or no. Am I the leader of that plan? Third one is, am I willing to change to keep growing, even if it means giving up my current position if I'm not experiencing growth? I'm repeating the third point. Am I willing to change to keep growing, even if it means giving up my current position if I'm not experiencing growth? Fourth, is my life an example for others to follow? Is my life an example for others to follow? Fifth point, am I willing to pay the price to become a great leader? Am I willing to pay the price to become a great leader? Okay, now come to the next point, next one. Here, I will be reading out the statements. If you agree to that statement, you say all four, number four, that is always. Number three is usually. Number two is sometimes. Number one is seldom. And if you have never done that or you're never willing to do that, mark 0. Okay, so you have to mark from 0 to 4. 4 is when you always do that. 3 is when you usually do that. 2 is when you sometimes do that. 1 is when you seldom do it. And 0 is never. Okay. So the first statement is, I influence others. Just write down 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Any number out of this. I influence others. Second is, I have self-discipline. Third is, I have a good track record. I have a good track record. Fourth is, I have strong people skills. Fifth is, I have the ability to solve problems. I repeat, I have the ability to solve problems. Sixth is, I do not accept the status quo. Status quo means the same position, the same situation. I do not accept the status quo. Next is, I see the big picture. I see the big picture. Next is, I have the ability to handle stress. I have the ability to handle stress. Next is, I display a positive spirit. I display a positive spirit. Next is, I understand people. Next is, I am fierce of I am free of personal problems. I am free of personal problems. Next is, I am willing to take responsibility. I am willing to take responsibility. Next, I am free from anger. I am free from anger. Next is, I am willing to make changes. Next is, I have integrity. Next, I have strong values. Next, I am able to see what has to be done next. I am able to see what has to be done next. I am accepted as a leader by others. I am accepted as a leader by others. Next, I have the ability and the desire to keep learning. I have the ability and the desire to keep learning. I have a manner that draws people. I have a manner that draws people. Next, I have a good self-image. I have a good self-image. Next, I have a willingness to serve others. I have a willingness to serve others. Next, I have the ability to bounce back when problems arise. I have the ability to bounce back when problems arise. I have the ability to develop other leaders. I have the ability to develop other leaders. And the last one, I take initiative. I take initiative. So you have to number this out of 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then total these numbers. Total all the numbers. Leaving the first 5 statements where you have written yes and no, leave those 5 statements, and from the next one, the I influence others, where you have numbered them, take the total, make the total, get the total. Take out the total of the numbers which you have assigned to all the statements, and this is there. If your number, if your total sum is between 90 to 100, you are a great leader. If your total is between 80 to 89, you are a good leader. If your number is between 70 to 79, you are an emerging leader. 60 to 69, you have the potential, but you need to work hard. And if it's below 60, you need growth. Maybe you are not ready to be mentored as a leader now, but you can be maybe at times. So if you have, if any, has anybody got between 90 to 100? Has anybody got between 90 to 100? You
You
can,
can please share your scores on the chat box.
no, Himanshu, only the people who have got 90 to 100, they can say, they can switch on their videos and they can show their faces so that we can also see who are the great leaders amongst us.
We have one answer, that is 78.
Very good, 78. That is an emerging leader.
Emerging leader.
Very
Very
good.
close to become a good leader.
Yes, very close to becoming a good leader. If we want, if you allow Himanshu, then he can show his face to all of us. He or she. No willing, it's up to him.
No.
But what's his name? We can all applaud for him.
Shaya Mari.
Shaya Mari.
Yeah.
Okay, very good, Shreya Mari. You are an emerging leader, and very soon you will be a, maybe you are the next Steve
Next,
Jobs or Jeff Bezos in the making.
Next score we have got from Kanchan 86.
86, very good.
Yes.
Kanchan.
And from Priyanka 82.
Okay,
And from Charu 76.
okay, good, Charu. Very good. So you all are good leaders, and we have got, see, we have got good leaders amongst
Amit has
us.
got 95.
My God, Amit. Great leader.
Nidhi is at 87.
Okay.
And Saroja Devi is 78.
Oh, very nice. So Himanshu, actually, you did not need to consider take this, organize this workshop. You already have great leaders among the participants.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me. I think it's now you know that we can. We have we all of us have the leadership qualities. It's only that we need to build upon them. We need to work upon them. Okay. So moving further from here, I think I have. All of you are awake now and ready to go. Yes, I'm
Yes, ma'am.
considering
Yes,
that
please.
I'm taking yes from all of you without seeing your faces, without looking at your expressions. So the next, to refresh you, I have a small video, just few seconds. Just watch carefully. Yes. Can you tell me, okay, which film is this? All of you must be knowing this. Yes, Chak De India. Okay. Now, can you guess from the two hockey players that what was the problem with them? I think all of you must have watched this movie. I love this movie and I've watched it more than 10 times. Can I get some answer on the chat box? That
I'm waiting for the answers.
okay. Did you the two hockey players and there was a I think all of you have watched that movie. There
Yes,
was a
one answer we
conflict.
have got, that is missing team spirit between the players.
Yes, but if missing team spirit between there was a team spirit missing between the
And
players. But if
next
you
one
have
is non-cooperative with each other.
okay, no, that means this clipping you have not listened to it. Can you? Was it audible?
No, ma'am, it was not audible.
It was not audible.
At least to me, it was not audible.
Okay, if you're using your earphones, that it will be quite audible. Okay, so what is there? That one player they had conflict between each other, but this is the final match of the hockey, the World Cup match, and in that, what happened? The player with a short height, she never used to. These two players they never used to pass the ball between each other, and they both were at the center forward and the last final match what happened the player with the short heighted ones passed the ball to the other player, and the other player could make a goal. So what was that? That was team effort. Okay. So the next, since the topic is team building and leadership, and leadership is nothing without team building. They both go hand in hand with each other. So the next, starting with this, the next slide is, again, I'll talk about Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs said, great things in business are never done by one person. They are done by a team of people. And this is in the next second picture. This is Abby Wambach, who is the USA soccer player, a very famous player of USA soccer player. She said, I have never scored a goal in my life. I've never scored a goal in my life without getting a pass from someone else. That means you cannot do anything, whatever be your abilities, whatever be your capabilities, how much knowledge you might have. But if you do not have a supporting team, my slides are also tired now. They are saying it's enough. So that is, you cannot do anything without the team. So how to build a team? This is a very practical approach, just 5 steps which I've taken, though there are many in detail also have taken. The first one is hiring, training, coaching, set the tone for a human work environment and throw down a positive, achievable challenge. Hiring is important. The people you are hiring, you need to have people who have an aptitude or who can share your dream or who can share your vision. Then train those people according to your requirement. Coach those people. And you need to be an affiliative leader. You need to be a leader where you can connect with people, the followers. They need to have they feel like coming to the workplace. You create a human work environment for them. Throw down a positive achievable challenge. I gave you the story of Steve Jobs, like Jeff Bezos, his vision was that the technology can be an enabler. Technology can change the way e-commerce is done. And if you look at him, he has done that. And it's the number one company in the world today, Amazon. And he is using technology for that. Uh, so this is how a team is built. If we go in detail, um, I think I'm exceeding my time limit, Himanshu.
Ma'am, actually, I am getting response from the participants that this session is very informative, and you should keep this session on.
Okay, thank you so much, participants.
And
So
if I'm wrong, then participant can intimate me through the chat box.
yeah, they can anytime they can stop me. I'm ready for that. Okay, so what is there? If you go in detail, these were the 5 very practical things which I have said. But if you go in detail how to build a team, then the first thing is that you need to set a clear goals for the results to be produced by the team. And the goals should be smart. The MBA students, they generally read in their textbooks that the goals should be designed to be smart. And SMART is an acronym for what? S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for achievable, R for relevant, and T is the time bound. Okay, so you need to, if you're setting goals, then those goals should be specific. They are able to measure it, they are able to achieve it, they're relevant and time bound. And here, as I said, your intuitive skills, your knowledge of the product, your learning capabilities also count, because you cannot set goals, uh, you cannot set smart goals for your people if you do not know themselves that how to achieve them. So again, your leadership skills matter. Now, the second step is define a mechanism for clear and consistent communications among team members. Team communication is very important, and how that communication has to take place, that has to be decided. There has to be a mechanism for that. It could be through face-to-face communication. It could be to say, let's say you say that email is one mechanism through which communication should take place. And If anything is being written, then it has to go by such and such process. So that mechanism has to be there. For a simple example, a very simple example, suppose I have to I mail something to the person outside my organization. Then I take my director into my loop, because that is a clear procedure. There is a clear mechanism in my organization that whatever I'm communicating with an outside world, I have to take my director into a loop, or I have to copy the mail to him. So there has to be a clear and consistent communications among the team members. Second is define a procedure for members to make decisions and solve problems. There has to be a procedure for members to make decisions, that how they will take decisions, or where they will take decisions, or in which category, or in what kind of a task they can take a decision. Maybe, let's say, a financial limit. Let's say up to a limit of 2 lakhs, my team member can take a decision. But if it's beyond 2 lakhs, then there has to be a procedure which needs to be followed, or an approval from our higher authority has to be taken. So there need to be a procedure for members to make decisions. Then develop staffing procedures, recruiting, training, organizing, and replacing. There has to be a procedure for that. As I said in the very first, the practical 5 steps, which I said that hiring is very important, because you need to recruit people who can match with your vision, who can synchronize with your dream, who can synchronize with your way of doing the things. So that is very important. Next is assign the role of communicator. Assign the role of communicator. Communication is the life's blood of teams. Like communicator, for example, what I have done here, I have asked Himanshu to keep on telling me what is being done on the chat box, or what kind of messages are there on the chat box. Or if I'm communicating with people or with all the participants, I requested Himanshu whether he can keep an eye on the chat box and see that what kind of messages are there, and keep on informing me. So you need to, when you are building a team, you need to assign the role of a communicator, and not necessary that communicator has to be somebody from the one of the team members. Even the leader himself can be a communicator, or he can appoint one of the members of the team as the communicator, who communicates with the outside world, or who communicates within the organization with other people. But there has to be a communicator, a clear communicator. Then identify needs for resources. Needs for resources, as I said, when we are recruiting people, maybe you're recruiting people with a great willingness, with great confidence, but they do not have the required skills, or they have the skills, but those skills need to be refined according to your venture, according to your startup. So you need to train them. And when you need to train them, maybe in order to polish their skills, they require certain materials, they require certain supplies. So as a leader, as a team builder, you need to identify their need for the resources, and then contact each team member. Each team member is important. Whatever be the contribution, big or small, little or more, each team member is important. And as a leader, as a team leader, you need to contact with each team member, maybe from time to time, maybe once in 15 days, maybe once in a month. You need to find out, you need to chit chat with each team member. Maybe you can find out personally with them that how do you do that. Like, I was, just for an example, I was talking to one of my knowns who is a vice president in one of the telecom companies, and he is a very big team under him. So I asked him that how do you build up a team, because he is the person who was selected as a leader at a very young age. So I said, how do you build up your team? So he said that I put lots of emphasis on communicating, contacting my team members. He said that I I talk to my team members on one-to-one basis once in a month. I call them in my cabin and I ask them about their family. I ask them about their children. I ask them if they have got any problem which I can be of any help, or what kind of support they want while working in at the workplace. Are they comfortable at the workplace? So you need to contact each team member, and this helps in building up the relations with the people or with your team members. Then second is next, continuing with the same procedure or the steps. Plan team building activities to support trust and working relationships. Again, trust is very important. Unless and until you are not able to develop trust among your team members will not be able to come up to share your dream or to share your venture with them. And trust can't be developed overnight. Trust requires time. Developing trust requires time. And as Jeff Bezos says, that not only with people, you need to develop as a startup or as an entrepreneur. When you're going to start your own venture, you need to develop trust among the customers also. And that trust you can't develop overnight. That today you are starting your venture and tomorrow people start trusting your products or trusting you or trusting your company. That has to be built through the work you develop, through the workmanship you exhibit in your products, or through the quality or through the way you communicate with them. Then is regularly monitor and report on the status of team members towards achieving the goal. That is important. And that mechanism you have to develop. Every leader has got his own mechanism. Maybe you ask for a monthly report, or you ask for a weekly report, or you ask for a fortnightly report. That completely depends on the leader, and every leader has got his own way of doing the things. Then support team meetings and the members' processes in the team. Members processes in the team. Members processes in the team. When members are working in the team, each member might be having his own way of working, his own way of doing the things. And as a team leader, you have to support that team member. As a team leader, you have to support the process which the team member has adopted in order to complete the task. And not I'm not saying that the process is against the thing. That is a completely different thing. But if the process is such which is helping in order to achieve the goals or in order to complete a task, then you need to support the things. You need to support the processes of the members. Then regularly celebrate team members' accomplishments, whether small or big, that doesn't matter. But you need to celebrate the accomplishments of the team members. It could be even a birthday would do if you celebrate that. Or let's say a team member has achieved the task which was assigned to him. He is able to do it, and because of that the other member is able to do his work. So celebrate that. And that celebration, that even the smallest of the small celebrations will boost morale of the employees, that will enthuse zeal among the team members, and they will be able to work with new enthusiasm and with new zeal. Okay, so these are the different steps how to build a team. But again I'll take the example of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was once asked that how he built up a team. So he said there are only 5 ways to build a team or to build a good team. He said praise them, listen to them, challenge them, be accountable with them, and lead them. That means it's again all people: praise them, listen to them, challenge them, be accountable to them, and lead them. That means be a good leader to them. And this is all which is there in all the steps which I've just discussed with all of you. Okay, so this is how you can build up a team. Now, generally what happens, we learn lessons from the failures also. So it's very important for us to see that why teams fail. Okay, so what is that? The first one is environmental influences. We are a good team in ourselves, but we saw that our competitor is doing a thing in a particular manner, and we also started adopting that. So that environmental influence sometimes help us, not help us, but sometimes fail the team or fail the organization as a team. So that is environmental influences. Or let's say if you talk about Narayan Murthy, he started Infosys and he started his was uh, uh, a group of friends they started, but later on you must have seen after Narayan Murthy quit from there, there were the team split and the Infosys started seeing that people were coming and going because there were environmental influences. And Narayan Murthy, till the time and Narayan Murthy was there, he kept the team intact, and there were no, because he himself was a strong leader and there was no influence of the environment on him. But as he left, there were environmental influences and Infosys as a team started to fail. Second one is goals. As I said, that goals, they need to be measurable, they need to be achievable, they need to be specific. So when the leader or the team is not able to set up goals which are based on the SMART acronym, then sometimes it leads to failure of teams. Second one is roles. What is roles? Roles is, as I said, that every person, every member in a team should be very clear that what role he has to perform in a team. There is no room for ambiguity or uncertainty in that. So if the team members are not clear about their roles, they do not know who is a communicator, who is a who is an integrator, who has to do what, then sometimes it leads to failure of teams. Then processes. As I said, there has to be a well managed, a systematized process that how the things have to be done, when the things have to be done, who has to do what. So those processes need to be framed, need to be formulated in a very articulated manner. And whenever there is a leakage in the process, or when there is not a foolproof process is not there, that leads to failure of teams. And then the last one is the relationships. It's the last but not the least, that relationships are very important. If the leader is not able to build up a relation with his people, with his members, if he is not able to enthuse trust in his members, then they are going to fail. The teams are going to bound to fail. Okay. So we need to learn that why the teams fail also, because then only it will help us that where do we need to work hard in order to make our team successful. Again, there is a situation, I'll not be talking about this. Then findings on the high performing team. All of you know about Stephen Robbins, who is the book is considered to be the Bible of organizational behavior. Now he said that the high performing teams, he researched the teams who were very high performing, and he found that the teams which are very high performing or which are successful, we have these characteristics. Now what are those? Tend to be small sized. They need to be small sized teams. They need not to have large number of members there. Then team members with 3 different types of skills should be there: technical, problem solving, and decision making, and interpersonal. So if you look at these 3 skills and the process which we have shared, or the teams why fail, you will see that these 3 things are available, or these 3 things are present in those steps also, and in the steps in the things which we saw that why teams fail. That is, technical skills need to be there, problem solving and decision making, and interpersonal skills. Then team members are properly matched to their roles. Clarity of roles should be there, and according to their skills they are being assigned the roles. Have a communication to a common purpose. Leader is able to share his vision or his dream with the members. Specific goals, SMART goals, strong leadership structure to provide focus and direction, and high mutual trust among the team members. So these were the characteristics which were found by Stephen Robbins, where he researched a number of high performing teams. And now, this is whatever you talk about this, no individual can win a game by himself. These are the words of Pele, and all of you know that Pele was a world-class soccer player. No individual can win a game by himself. It has to be a team effort. It has to be the support from all the team members. And last, only three things happen naturally in organizations, that is friction, confusion, and underperformance. Everything else requires leadership. And this is by the management guru, Peter Drucker. And with this, I come to the end of my talk, and I hope you liked it.
Friends, I hope that you have liked this session. And if you have any question, you want to connect with us or you want to connect with our instructor, our mail IDs are mentioned here. You can connect us at iedc@hit.org, or you can directly contact our instructor at monicadev00@gmail.com. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe our channel